All right, everybody, what's going on? This your boy C Wells, your tour guide around the SWAC, and welcome to SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. We're gonna break down this week 4 action. Gonna talk about all the games that took place this week. A lot of good games this week. Really interesting week of SWAC football. We're gonna talk about it all today. So make sure you stay here with me and check this out. So as you can see, the socials are on the screen down below. You can check those out. Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. If you love to help support the growth of the show, feel free to drop a little donation off to the Cash App or $ Swag Talk. It'd be much appreciated. If you can, won't you please subscribe to the channel? If you haven't subscribed already, won't you please subscribe? If you have, then hey, thank you very much. Definitely appreciate it. Like the videos, feel free to share them and hit that notification bell to be alerted to any content that I upload. I'm gonna, as usual, try to drop some different things, throughout the week or whenever. Not on my normal scheduled time, so you don't want to miss any of that. So let's go ahead and get started, man. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it, and we're gonna start off with Texas Southern taking on UTSA in a game that was a really entertaining game, man. Our final score: UTSA 52, TSU 24, as you can see on the screen. My pick was 52-20, so hey, I was right there. TSU played a really solid ball game in this game, and they definitely had their chances to win this game. Oh, thank you, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I lost the stream for a minute, but I'm back. Let's go ahead and stay with this. Like I said, TSU played a really solid game. They came out and they gave UTSA everything that they wanted, man. The Tigers came ready. Their defense was up to par. The offense, made some key plays. Um, had some chances in this game. Kind of let it slip away. Midway in the second quarter, they threw an interception on a drive that they had that they ended up moving into UTSA territory through interception. Um, just got to 11 and threw an interception. That takes points off the board. Other than that, they had a fumble at the UTSA 32. So that hurts. Excuse me, they got the ball after a fumble and they try to field goal there. They got interception and just like I said, just really, just had some mistakes that kind of hurt them in this game. But they played a really solid ball game. Like I said, the second half got away from them. They got outscored 31-7 in the second half. First half was a much closer game. A halftime score was 21-17, thanks to a Rick Garcia field goal with no time left. So looking at the scoring, UTSA got on the board first when Frank Harris ran a 19-yard touchdown, made the score 7-0 after extra point. Andrew Body got a 4-yard touchdown run to tie the game up at 7 after Garcia's extra point. UTSA went up 14-7 after a 97-yard kickoff return by Chris Carpenter. Extra point good, 14-7. UTSA gets another touchdown. DeCorian Clark caught a 31-yard pass from Frank Harris. Extra point good, 21-7. TSU will get another Andrew Body touchdown, this time again from 4 yards out. Extra point good, 21-14 at that point. And then right before the half, field goal 21-17. TSU goes into the half. Third quarter, UTSA will get on the board again. Clark caught a 69-yard pass from Harris with an extra point, 28-17. Joshua Cephas caught a 23-yard pass from Harris, 35-17. At that point, with about 5.5 minutes to go in the third, Ja'Cory Howard got a 33-yard pass from Andrew Body to make the score 35-24. That capped off a nice drive, 10 plays, 87 yards, 4 minutes. and 4 minutes and 6 seconds off the clock, and that made the score 35-24 with about a minute and a half left in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, UTSA they scored 2 more touchdowns. They scored 3 touchdowns. They got a touchdown, 2 touchdowns on a field goal. I'm looking at this all wrong. They got a 35-yard pass from Harris to Franklin to make the score 42-24. They would get a field goal from 43 yards out, 45-24, and their final touchdown came with 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game when Clark caught a 7-yard pass from Marburger to make the score 52-24. Like I said, this was TSU had their chances and they were right there in the game. Second half, they just could not capitalize. 22 first downs for TSU, 21 for UTSA, 235 on the ground for the Tigers, 50 carries, 4.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. They held UTSA to 112 yards on the ground, 27 carries, 4.1 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. Passing 229 for TSU, 17 of 32, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 441 yards through the air for the Road Runners, 23 of 34, 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. 464 total offense for TSU, 82 plays, 5.7 yards per play. No fumbles at all. 3 penalties for 35 yards. UTSA 553 yards of offense. On 61 plays, they averaged 9.1 yards per play. They fumbled twice and lost those 2 fumbles, so both teams turned the ball over twice. 5 penalties for 70 yards for UTSA. TSU averaged 37.6 yards per punt. UTSA averaged 60.5 yards per punt. 4 points for 242 yards. Third down conversions, TSU 9 of 20. 0 for 1 on fourth downs. They had the ball for 38 minutes and 1 second. UTSA had the ball for 21 minutes and 59 seconds. 1 of 8 on third down. So really good third down defense for TSU. They did a really good job of getting stops in this game. 1 of 2 on fourth down for the Road Runners. TSU was 3 of 4 in the red zone. They had that big red zone turnover. UTSA was 2 of 2, so they didn't let them in the red zone that often either, considering all the yardage that they gave up through the air. No sacks for TSU, only 1 for UTSA. So honestly, man, all in all, a really solid effort. This team seems to be putting things together. There's 2 really good efforts back to back. Obviously, the score didn't go the way you wanted it in this one, but you still was able to build on some things. So that's definitely a positive. Andrew Body, 17 of 32, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 35-yard was his long. He was sacked once. Frank Harris, 20 of 31, 392 yards, passing 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked no times. Longest pass was 69. Eddie Lee Marburger, 3 of 3 for 49 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks. His long was 33. Ja'Cory Howard led TSU with 12 carries for 88 yards, longer 52, no touchdowns, average 7.3 yards per carry. Ladarius Owens, 13 carries, 72 yards, longer 39, no touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry. Andrew Body, 12 carries, 45 yards, 2 touchdowns, longer of 11, 3.8 yards per carry. Brendan Brady led UTSA with 14 carries for 49 yards. No touchdowns. He averaged 3.5 yards per carry. Frank Harris, 4 carries, 31 yards, 1 touchdown, 7.8 yards per carry. Ty Edwards, 4 carries, 19 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. Derek Morton led TSU with 4 catches for 68 yards, had a longer 35. Ja'Cory Howard, 2 for 44, and a touchdown, longer 33. Clark led UTSA with 9 catches for 217 yards and 3 touchdowns, longer 69. Cephas, 5 catches, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, longer 42. Franklin, 6 catches, 87 yards, 1 touchdown, longer 35. Elijah Muhammad led TSU with 5 tackles, along with Tariq Cooper, also with 5. Williams with 4. Harris with 4. Fuller, Henderson, Javis Williams, Hardman, Jacob Williams, Bogerty, Trent, all had 3 tackles apiece. Tackles for loss, Trent, 1. Chance and McGraw each had a half a tackle for loss. no sacks, interceptions, none. Forced fumbles were by Harris and George. Recoveries were by Cooper and Hamilton. UTSA was led in tackles by Chapman with 8, with Chaku with 7, Ligon with 6, Moore with 6, Triplett with 6, Taylor, Morris, French, each had 5. Tackles for loss, Bell, Moore 2.5, Bell, Cage, and Clayton each had 1 tackle for loss apiece. Triplett, Taylor, Fortune, Brown, Holt, and Leonard, along with Simon, they all had a half a tackle for loss apiece. Sack was half a sack apiece by Triplett and Taylor. Interceptions were by A. Morris and Griffin. So, like I said, this was a pretty solid effort for TSU. Really, I would have, like I said before, I would have loved this to be in a SWAC game. I think they would have had a really great chance of winning this week. But they kept their momentum going a bit, so we'll see, where they go in this week. They face Alabama State on Saturday, so moving on to SWAC play. So that's definitely a game that they should be honestly maybe favored going into, and we'll talk about that in the upcoming week. But big game ahead of them, a winnable game, and we'll see what it turns out. The next game that we're gonna cover is JSU taking on Valley, 49-7. First quarter, Valley was pretty game. They came out, they got a couple big plays early. They hit a couple big plays. Caleb Johnson ran like a 50-plus yard run. Valley got on the board first when Kamari Jones threw a 25. When Kamari Jones had a 25-yard touchdown, JSU would answer back when Willie Gaines caught a 42-yard touchdown from Shedeur Sanders to tie the game at 7. Savion Wilkerson got a 30-yard touchdown run for JSU to make the score 14-7 after extra point. Half 21-7 was the halftime score, thanks to a J.D. Martin 5-yard pass from Sanders. That came with 10 seconds left in the second quarter. Third quarter, Shane Hooks caught a 4-yard pass from Shedeur Sanders. Extra point good, 28-7. Martin, 2-yard touchdown run, 35-7 after extra point. Huggins, a 20-yard pick 6 to make the score 42-7 after the PAT. And Buckley caught an 8-yard pass from Sanders with 8 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game to make the extra point, made the final margin 49-7. Like I said, Valley came out early. They were kind of fired up. They made this interesting first half. Like I said, the halftime score was only 21-7 at that point. Just could not really get anything going. JSU was able to, kind of withstand that early Valley run and put them away pretty easily. Turnovers did hurt JSU. They fumbled the ball 3 times. They lost only one of them, but they also had an interception in this game. So let's look at the stats. Valley, 9 first downs, JSU 28. 181 yards on the ground for Valley. On 36 carries, they did average 5 yards per carry. JSU 200 yards on the ground, 22 carries, 9.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. It's like I said before, when you get this JSU rushing attack on par with the passing attack, this offense can pick whatever they want to do to you. So, if you're a team coming up on JSU, you have to pay attention to the run game consistently and not just, every so often. So that's definitely a huge factor for JSU. Valley, 36 yards passing, 3 of 14, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 438 yards passing for JSU, 40 of 51, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Total offense, Valley 217 on 50 plays, 4.3 yards per play. They did fumble twice, didn't lose any. They had 11 penalties for 73 yards. JSU 638 total offense on 73 plays, 8.7 yards per play, 3 fumbles, and they lost 1. They had 8 penalties for 73 yards. Valley averaged 41.5 yards per punt. JSU 36.8. Valley punted 10 times. JSU punted 4. Time of possession, Valley 27 minutes, 34 seconds. Third downs, Valley was 2 of 14. They did not go for it on 4th down. JSU 31 minutes and 29 seconds time of possession. They were 6 of 11 on third downs, and they also did not attempt a fourth down conversion. Valley never got into the red zone. JSU got in the red zone 4 times. They were 4 for 6. JSU had 2 sacks, Valley 1. So Valley, I mean, they only attempted 14 passes. So, not a lot of opportunities for Jackson State to go for sacks, but Valley did a pretty decent job with protection. Jones, 3 of 12 for Valley, 36 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice, long with 25. TJ Goodman, 0 for 2. No touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Shedeur Sanders, 40 of 51, 438 through the air, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, long with 64 and 1 sack. Kayla Johnson, 11 carries, 65 yards, no touchdowns. He did have that 50-yard run of average 5.9 yards per carry. Kamari Jones, 9 carries, 59 yards. He had a 42-yard run. He averaged 6.6 yards per carry. Jacoby Thomas, 9 carries, 38 yards. He had a 22-yard run. So they had 3 explosive plays on the ground, 4.2 yards per carry. Santee Marshall was the big guy in the run game today. 6 carries, 118 yards. He had a 91-yard run, 19.7 yards per carry. Wilkerson, 9 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown, 5.7 yards per carry, had a longer 30. J.D. Martin, 3 carries, 16 yards, and a touchdown, average 5.3 yards per carry with a 9-yard long. Rankin caught the touchdown, was from 25 yards out. That was his only catch. So 1 catch for 25 yards and a touchdown. Rashad Eady's 1 catch for 12 yards. And that's pretty much it. The only other guy that caught a pass for negative yardage. So not much going on for Valley in that aspect. Only completed 3 passes. Dallas Daniels led JSU with 10 catches for 142 yards, no touchdown, longer 36. Kevin Coleman, 2 catches, 76 yards, longer 64. Shane Hooks, 7 catches, 57 yards, 1 touchdown, longer 12. Willie Gaines, 2 catches, 42 yards, 1 touchdown, longer 42. Buckley, 4 catches, 24 yards, and a touchdown, longer 8. Rucker, 2 catches for 20 yards, longer 15. Marshall, 2 catches, 20 yards, longer 19. Pope, 1 catch for 15 yards. Stevens, 5 catches, 15 yards. Martin, 2 catches, 8 yards. Davis, 2 catches, 3 yards. Joe Willett, 1 catch, 3 yards. Valley was led in tackles by Kenneth Martin with 8. Caleb Brunson with 7. Dion Reed with 5. Cedric Moffitt, Malcolm Johnson, and Frederick McGee and Ronnie Thomas all had 4 tackles apiece. Thomas had a tackle for loss. Victor had a tackle for loss, and the team was registered as a tackle for loss. Thomas had the sack for Valley. Forced fumble was by Johnson, recovered by Jennings, and interception went to Alexander. Jackson State was led in tackles by Silman Craig with 7. Niles Gaddy with 5. Devontae Davis with 4. Hobson, Reagan, Williams each had 3 tackles apiece. Tackle for loss, Gaddy 2, Davis 2, Reagan 1, and Wiggins 1. Sacks went to Davis and Reagan. They each had 1 sack apiece. Reagan had a forced fumble. Interception was by Huggins, which he returned 20 yards for a touchdown. So, this was kind of like, one of those take care of business type of games. Valley, like I said, they was game early. Most people thought they would be. They do come out pretty fired up against JSU, but they don't have the firepower to stay in the game with JSU. And when you can't move the ball through the air at all, and you only throw the ball 14 times, you're definitely limiting your opportunities to move the ball down the field at all. So not a lot going on. And once you get one-dimensional like that, a team like JSU is just going to, they're going to start to slow you down. Valley had some big runs early, but JSU slowed that down. JSU has had some problems with fumbles this season. They fumbled 3 times. They lost only 1, but that's been an issue, especially in the red zone. That if there's anything that you want to nitpick about this team, it is cleaning up the execution in the red zone at times. Sometimes they hit a lull, but they have pretty much been on point all season. So they're doing what they need to do. These first 4 games of the season, they have taken care of business. as they head into their bye week. Um, they go into the bye week on a good note at 4-0, and not a lot to clean up, but there's always room for improvement, no matter what what your record is or how you're playing. So there's still that there for them. Valley, they have more work to do. I mean, I don't think anybody was surprised by the margin in this game. I was honestly only surprised that they only threw the ball 14 times. I feel like that's not really giving yourself any opportunity to do anything. They get ready for a trip to Tallahassee to take on FAMU, so another tough conference game for them. It doesn't let up, and the heat keeps on going for Valley. So we'll keep tabs on the Delta Devils and see how their season turns out from this point on. Our next game is Bethune-Cookman taking on Grambling. This game, I thought Grambling would win. I felt like Bethune-Cookman didn't necessarily have what it took offensively to get this game going. I thought this may be the game that Grambling would kind of find their footing offensively. I thought that Grambling may be the team out of the two to be able to put together some consistent drives and win this game. But Grambling had a lot of mistakes in this game, especially in the second half. Second half has been Grambling's downfall all year. Obviously, they didn't have a good second half against Arkansas State. They ran out to a big lead against Northwestern, didn't do much in the second half of that game. In the second half last week, didn't do a lot either. And again, another poor second half. No points in the second half for Grambling. They led this game 19-17 at half. Bethune-Cookman actually got the game started with a huge run from Bird to put them in the red zone, and Marcus Riley capped that drive off with a 4-yard pass from Jalen Jones. Extra point was good, 7-0. Grambling would answer with a nice drive, a 10-play, 75-yard drive. I thought that was a really good drive for them to answer from that explosive drive that Bethune-Cookman put together. Dedrick Talbert ran a 3-yard touchdown run. Extra point was good. The game was tied at 7. And a guy who I said in my preview that I expected to have a good game made that big play for them. Darnell Dees, 97-yard kickoff return for Bethune-Cookman. He's a monster in the return game, and he definitely struck there. 97-yard return. Extra point was good. Bethune-Cookman led 14-7. Grambling would put together another decent drive, 5 plays, 63 yards, finished with a 24-yard field goal. They trailed at that point 14-10. Bethune-Cookman would get a field goal of their own from 23 yards out, capping a nice drive, 13 plays, 69 yards. Took almost 6 minutes off the clock. That made the score 17-10. And Grambling would get a nice drive, 8 plays, 94 yards, 3:22 off the clock, finished with a 9-yard pass from Hawkins to Wilson. And that made the score tied at 17. And at that point, I'm thinking Grambling, is going to take control of this game. I'm watching this game, and I think that, they look like they're putting some things together. The offense is doing what I expected, making nice drives, and finishing them with points. They got a safety from Josh Reed with a tackle for loss, made the score 19-17 at half. And then from then on, Grambling kind of shot themselves in the foot, blocked field goals, turnovers, just, could not really move the ball in the second half consistently. Bethune-Cookman would get a field goal with 3:30 left in the third quarter from 22 yards out to make the score 20-19. Then Kamari Everett gets his first touchdown from Jalen Jones from 9 yards out. Extra point good, 27-19. Bethune-Cookman would get another field goal with about 55 seconds left in the game from 21 yards out. 8 plays, 50-yard drive, 5:18 on the clock, and then they would cap the game off with a pick 6 to make the score 36-19. This game, this was not a good. It's a tale of two halves for Grambling. They have to come out in the second half with the same energy that they come out with the first half. They really statistically had the advantage in this game. They had 26 first downs, Bethune-Cookman 14, Grambling 174 yards on the ground on 36 carries, 4.8 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Bethune-Cookman ran the ball for 199 on the night, 33 carries, 6 yards per carry. They didn't score a touchdown on the ground. 287 through the air for Grambling, 22 of 43, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Bethune-Cookman, 137 through the air, 13 of 19, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Grambling, 461 yards of offense on 79 plays, 5.8 yards per play, 1 fumble, and they lost it, so they turned the ball over 3 times. 14 penalties for 107 yards. That's always going to be a killer. So 3 penalties and 3 turnovers and 14 penalties is a recipe for disaster. Bethune-Cookman, 336 on total offense, 552 plays, 6.5 yards per play. They fumbled twice. They lost 1. They had 12 penalties for 19 yards. So this was a highly penalized game. 26 penalties for 226 yards. That's way too many penalties for both teams. Both teams punted the ball 3 times. Grambling averaged 34 yards per punt, Bethune-Cookman 39. Time of possession, Grambling 31 minutes and 13 seconds, 3 of 12 on third down. Another indication that they cannot drive the football. They were 2 of 4 on fourth down, so they did get a couple conversions off of that. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone. Bethune-Cookman 28 minutes and 47 seconds time of possession. They were 1 of 10 on third down. Again, neither team can move the ball consistently. They did not attempt a fourth down. They were 5 of 5 in the red zone. Each team had 1 sack apiece. Individually, Hawkins, 22 of 43 for Grambling, 287 through the air, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had a 61-yard pass, 1 sack. Jalen Jones, 13 of 18 for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. His long was 32. He was sacked once. Marcus Riley was 0 for 1. Talbert, 10 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown for Grambling, averaged 6.7 yards per carry. Hawkins, 7 carries, 45 yards, 6.4 yards per carry. Handy, 7 carries for 23 yards. Russell, 5 carries, 15 yards. Williams, 3 carries, 14 yards. Elder, 3 carries, 10 yards. They still are juggling so many running backs. I know you got a lot of backs, but I think you need to, settle on a guy. I mean, I like running back by committee, but I like running back by committee when you have that first guy is your guy, and then you can go to other guys when you need to. I don't really like that. We're just gonna try the guy out, see what he do, try the guy out, see what he do, try the guy out, see what he do. You need a guy that you can trust to always be your guy. If you need to spell him more often than not, then that's fine. But right now they are so up and down with guys who are getting the carries. I know Maurice Washington was out, so that kind of affected some things. But a guy like Chance Williams, who would get a lot of those second team reps, if you want to call them, or be the second back in the stable. He only got 3 carries. This week they went with Talbert, 10 carries for Talbert. And after that, not much else. Bird had a big game for Bethune-Cookman, 19 carries, 162 yards, 8.5 yards per carry. He had an 81-yard run on that first drive. Robinson, 8 carries for 33 yards. C.J. Russell led Grambling with 3 catches for 73 yards. He had a long of 61. Coleman, 5 catches, 72 yards, longer 25. Rash, 5 catches, 54 yards, longer 22. Foley, 2 catches, 32 yards. His long was 32. Handy, 2 catches for 22 yards. Bean, 2 catches, 19 yards. Wilson, 1 catch for 9 yards in his touchdown. Williams, 1 catch for 4 yards. Bordeaux, 1 catch for 2 yards. This team today, Grambling had a lot of drops, especially in the second half. They dropped some key plays, a couple of third down drops. Guys were open and they dropped passes. So this was just, whatever, pick your poison to do you win, and that's what the second half was. So, this is an easy fix. Having the same energy in the first half and the second half. Being better with the attention to detail, finishing drives. Those things can be fixed. So, this is not doom and gloom for Grambling, but this was a game that you definitely probably should have won, and you had the lead and let it go. Kamari Everett finally showed up, and it finally went to him. 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Riley, 4 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Ellington, 1 catch for 17 yards. Lee, 2 catches for 9 yards. Bird, 1 catch for 8 yards. Anderson led Grambling with 7 tackles. Stewart with 6. Green with 6. Lewis with 6. Reed with 4, Dagry with 4, Matthews with 4 tackles for loss. Stewart 1.5. Anderson, Reed, Matthews each had 1 tackle for loss apiece. Green, Henry, and Lewis each had a half a tackle for loss apiece. Sack was by Anderson. Forced fumbles were by Reed and Estes. No interceptions. Bethune-Cookman was led in tackles by Lewis with 8. Also Blake with 8. Hill Robinson with 6. Hudson with 6. Poe with 5. Jones with 5. Tackles for loss. Loving had 1. Walls and Smith each had a half a tackle for loss apiece. Loving had a sack. Forced fumble was by Lewis. Recovered by Jones. Interception was by Hill Robinson and Dees. And like I said, this was, this has been what Grambling season been like. Good first half, not good second half. Bethune-Cookman answered the call. They had a blistering start, kind of faded out a little bit, but they ended up, getting themselves back on track. And that you really can't ask for much more than that when a team is looking for positivity. And this season, they finally, they got off the snide after 3 games instead of later in the season. So they have some momentum, and we'll see how they turn out as they move on in their season. They face Alabama A&M this week coming up, and Grambling is in Dallas for the State Fair Classic against Prairie View. So another big game for Prairie View. For Grambling, they're gonna definitely have to take care of business in the second half if they want to be successful in these games. The next game we want to talk about is Florida A&M taking on Alabama A&M. And I thought Alabama A&M played a really good first half. They led this game 19-14 at the half. They seemed to have the game under control. Second half, FAMU outscored them 24-6 to win 38-25. So kind of another tale of 2 halves. Alabama A&M really played a solid first half. FAMU took a while to get going. A&M actually led 10-0 after Garrett Qualls 2-yard touchdown, extra point good, 7-0. Alvarez 35-yard field goal for Alabama A&M, scored with 10-0. Terrell Jennings got a 1-yard run for FAMU in the second quarter, extra point good. Capped a 13-play, 80-yard drive that took 3:46 off the clock that made it score 10-7. A&M got a safety to make the score 12-7. Eagling ran a 1-yard touchdown for A&M with 1 minute and 26 seconds to go in the first half. A&M sitting at a 19-7 lead at that point. 15 seconds to go in the second quarter. Xavier Smith caught a 20-yard pass from Musa, make the halftime score of 19-14 after the extra point. Xavier Smith caught a second touchdown in the third quarter. This time from 10 yards out, give FAMU a 21-19 lead. If they would not look back at that point, McLeod 6-yard touchdown for FAMU, extra point good, 28-19. Romo Martinez field goal, capped off a 12-play, 91-yard drive. Nice drive for FAMU to start the fourth quarter, to bridge the third and fourth quarters. 31-19 at that point. Xavier Smith catches his third touchdown of the night from Musa, this time from 1 yard out. Extra point good, 38-19. And then Cameron Young would catch a 29-yard pass from Xavier Langford to cap a 6-play, 80-yard drive with 34 seconds left in the game. That drive took 9 minutes and 27 seconds on the clock, so they really put together a long drive. Too little, too late. Extra point was no good. 38-25 was the final margin. 22 first downs for Alabama A&M, 27 for FAMU. 202 on the ground for the Bulldogs. So really solid running attack for them this night. 5.8 yards per carry, 35 carries. FAMU only ran the ball for 78 yards. That run game is still not there yet. If there's anything that they have to get that run game going. 25 carries, 3.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. A&M 213 through the air, 20 of 33, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 363 yards through the air for FAMU. 26 of 45, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 415 total offense for the Bulldogs, 68 plays, 6.1 yards per play. They fumbled once, they didn't lose any. They had 10 penalties for 81 yards. FAMU 445, Total offense, 70 plays, 6.4 yards per play. They had one fumble that they lost, 8 penalties for 63 yards for them. A&M punted, Alabama A&M punted for 39.4-yard average on 5 punts. FAMU 29-yard per punt average on 3 punts. Time of possession, Alabama A&M 36 minutes 39 seconds. They were 3 of 12 on third down and 0 for 1 on fourth down. FAMU 21 minutes and 38 seconds time of possession. 5 of 12 on third downs and 1 for 1 on fourth downs. 3 of 8 in the red zone for Alabama A&M. 3 of 3 in the red zone for Alabama A&M. 6 of 8 for FAMU in the red zone. FAMU had 4 sacks. A&M had no sacks. Individually, Xavier Langford with 18 of 28 for Alabama A&M, 180 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. Quincy Casey, 2 of 5 for 33 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Jeremy Musa, 23 of 41, 343 through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Cameron Sapp, 3 of 3 for 24 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. Langford led Alabama A&M with 11 carries for 81 yards. He averaged 7.4 yards per carry. He had a 64-yard run. Garrett Quarles, 11 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown, 3.6 yards per carry. Donovan Eaglin, 6 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Terrell Jennings led Florida A&M with 11 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry. McLeod, 7 carries, 21 yards, and a touchdown. He averaged 3 yards per carry. Ibrahim, 6 catches for 49 yards for Alabama A&M. Jenkins Jr., 4 catches, 39 yards. Cox, 4 catches, 32 yards. Young, 1 catch, 29 yards, and a touchdown. Shareed, 7 catches, 130 yards. No touchdowns for FAMU. Xavier Smith, 8 catches for 96 yards and 3 touchdowns. Oxendine, 3 catches, 41 yards. Dixon, 3 catches, 27 yards. Manigo, 2 catches, 26 yards. Gabriel Floyd led Alabama A&M with 6 tackles. Dre Terry with 5. Holt with 5. Bell and Douglas each had 4 tackles. Tackle for loss. Bell, Rice, Hayes, Douglas each had 1 tackle for loss apiece. Wesley and Glass had a half a tackle for loss apiece. No sacks. A forced fumble by Colson. From a recovery by Colson. No interceptions for Alabama A&M. FAMU was led in tackles by Isaiah Major with 14. Smith with 7. Morgan with 5. BJ Bowler with 4. Tackle for loss, Land 2. Major 1. Stevens 1. Hunt 1. Mentor 1. Sacks went to Land, Stevens, Hunt, and Mentor. They each had 1 sack apiece. Stevens had a forced fumble. Interception was by Morgan and Fagan. So, like I said, again, another game that was kind of a tale of 2 halves. FAMU got going in the second half. That late touchdown in the first half, I think, gave them some momentum. Alabama A&M couldn't really get anything going after that. And FAMU was able to take control of the game and basically, put it away pretty much through the first part of the second half to put this game away. FAMU moves on to take on Valley at home on Saturday, and Alabama A&M heads back home to take on Bethune-Cookman. So 2 big East Division matchups for both teams. Still at stake. Like I said, it's early in conference play, but that was a win FAMU needed. They got it, and now they can, continue to go. Alabama A&M drops to 0-4, and we have to see how they turn out. The next game we have is Alcorn taking on Pine Bluff. Alcorn gets a 38-21 victory. As you can see on the screen, I said 31-12. Not that far off, but off enough. UAPB had a very score-wise, they had a good first half. They scored 14 points in the first half. Halftime scored 14-10. Both of their touchdowns came on very short fields. So they scored 2 touchdowns from on a 21-yard drive and a 25-yard drive. So they were able to take advantage of 2 Alcorn turnovers. I think one was on downs and one was on a fumble. Kayvon Britton got both of those touchdowns for UAPB, one from 2 yard out, one from 3 yards out. Jarvion Howard, that's him. That's the guy, man. He right now, I would say at this point, it's early in the season, but I would put him at if not the top back in the SWAC right now, then he's one of the top. Yeah, we're gonna look at his numbers, but he went ham in this game. He had a 45-yard run to start the game off. Gave Alcorn a 7-0 lead. Bethune-Cookman were tied at, UAPB were tied at 7. After a Britton 2-yard touchdown run, UAPB would take the lead 14-7 after a 3-yard run by Britton with the extra point, 14-7. Alcorn would get a field goal with 4 seconds left in the half to make the halftime score 14-10. Skylar Perry will run a 1-yard touchdown for UAPB to give them a 21-10 lead. They had a 5-play, 62-yard drive on that play. So they were sitting at 21-10, and then Alcorn would take over. Jarvion Howard would take over, if you want to put it that way. He had an 11-yard touchdown run, made the score 21-17. He had a 24-yard touchdown run to make the score 24-21. He had a 78-yard touchdown run, which would make the score 31-21. And then Javante Leatherwood will get in on the act with a 7-yard touchdown run to make the final margin 38-21. So Alcorn, the running game is there. That run game is there. Pine Bluff 16 first downs, Alcorn 22. 158 on the ground for UAPB, 34 carries, 4.6 yards per carry. Alcorn 386 on the ground. Big night running the ball. 47 carries, 8.2 yards per carry, and 5 touchdowns. You can't ask for much more from a run game than that. 116 yards passing for Pine Bluff, 15 of 32. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Alcorn 18 of 23 passing for 98 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. The run game is there. The pass game is catching up, but it's not there yet. At this point, if you can run the ball like this, then you're good. But at some point, you're going to need that passing attack to be a little bit more consistent to help you out. Pine Bluff 274 yards on 66 plays, 4.2 yards per play. They fumbled once and didn't lose it. Alcorn 484 total offense on 70 plays, 6.9 yards per play. They did fumble once and lost it. Both teams had 4 penalties. Pine Bluff for 40 yards, Alcorn for 38. Pine Bluff averaged 37 yards per punt on 7 punts. Alcorn 27 yards per punt on 5 punts. The punting game still is a bit of an issue for Alcorn, but they're managing right now. Time of possession, 29 minutes and 43 seconds for Pine Bluff, 29:03 for Alcorn. Third downs, Pine Bluff 2 of 13. They were 1 or 2 on fourth downs, 3 or 5 in the red zone. Alcorn 4 of 13 on third downs, 1 or 3 on fourth downs, 2 or 2 in the red zone. Pine Bluff 1 sack, Alcorn 2. Individually, Skylar Perry 14 of 31, 106 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. Aaron Allen 16 of 21, 85 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, longer 17, 1 sack. Britton led Pine Bluff with 19 carries for 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, average 4.9 yards per carry. Perry 13 carries for 31 yards, 1 touchdown, longer 26. Prince 1 carry for 31 yards. Howard 24 carries, 295 on the ground, average 12 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Duffy 6 carries, 44 yards. Leatherwood 9 carries, 35 yards, and a touchdown. Cochran led Pine Bluff with 6 catches for 67 yards. Williams 2 catches, 17 yards. Prince 3 catches, 14 yards. Akeem McNair 2 catches, 21 yards for Alcorn. Warren Anthony 2 catches, 18 yards. CJ Bolar 2 catches, 11 yards. Isaac Peppers led Pine Bluff with 8 tackles along with Kendarius Clark. He also had 8 tackles. Williams with 7. Jones with 5 tackles for loss. Clark 1.5, Younger 1, and Smith a half a tackle for loss. Half a sack for Clark and Smith. Forced fumble. Recovery was by Williams, and no interceptions. Alcorn was led by James with 5 tackles. McCullum and Woods with 4. And then with 3, they had Blunt, McGee, Webb, and Jones. Tackles for loss, Jones with 2, Webb and Barfield and Ross with one tackle for loss apiece. Bailey and Dawson had a half a tackle for loss apiece. Sacks went to Webb and Barfield, each with 1. Interception was by McGee. So, like Pine Bluff, the score looks a little bit better than what this game probably could have been. They were able to take advantage of a couple short fields from Alcorn and put some points on the board. They just could not really get any drives going. Alcorn run game really smashed them and basically took control of the game through the ground game. So Alcorn is looking like the team to beat in the West right now. Of course, the schedule still has to play out. Pine Bluff had a kind of an up and down performance in this game, especially coming off of 2 non-D1 games and a FBS game. So kind of finally getting a test of where Pine Bluff actually is. And I thought they were game, but they still have some improvements to make. Pine Bluff moves on to take on Southern this week. Alcorn has a bye week, so a good chance for Alcorn to go into the bye week. They're sitting at 2-2 right now, so not a bad place to really be. Could easily be 3-1 heading into the bye week, but sitting at 2-2 is a good spot. 1-0 in conference. Our final game of the day is our game of the week. Prairie View won this game by a score of 24-15. I actually said 24-16, so not bad. I did pretty good with my picks this week. Only got 1 pick wrong as far as winners and losers, so not a bad week. Prairie View, they came out and they jumped. They got a 7-0 lead when Trezon Connolly ran a 16-yard touchdown for Prairie View, extra point good. Culpepper caught a 19-yard pass from Davis for Alabama State to get them on the board. Extra point was blocked. 7-6 at that point. Connolly would get another touchdown for Prairie View, this time from 2 yards out. Extra point good, 14-6. That was our halftime score. Alabama State would get a field goal from 31 yards out to make the score 14-9. Reyes would kick a 46-yard field goal for Prairie View to make the score 17-9. A 3-yard run for Howell for Alabama State to make the score 17-15. Extra point no good. Chris Herron caught a 20-yard pass from Connolly to make the score 24-15. So Alabama State had some chances. They actually had, I think they had drove into the red zone with opportunity to take the lead in this game late, but they did not score, and then Prairie View was able to tack on another touchdown. Big win for Prairie View on the road. You didn't play your best game. This is not, I think this, this is kind of what Prairie View is right now. The passing game definitely picked up a bit this week. This was a tough task. I thought Prairie View played a great defensive game, and we'll look through the numbers. But this was kind of this Alabama State is a tough place to play. To come on the road and pick up a victory, maybe not playing your best ball, is a good mark for you. I mean, you're sitting at 2-0 in conference. So you're in really, really a good spot right now in conference play. You're 2-2 overall, but 2-0 in conference. So you have everybody, is ahead of you. Everybody's chasing you basically. So you're sitting ahead at this point with some big games coming up. So not a bad spot to be in if you're Prairie View. Alabama State, you're looking for answers. 16 first downs for Prairie View, 23 for Alabama State. 126 yards on the ground for Prairie View, 34 carries, 3.7 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Alabama State, 90 yards on 38 carries, 2.4 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 236 yards passing for Prairie View, 15-20, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 207 through the air for Alabama State, 15-26, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Total offense, 362 for Prairie View, 54 plays, 6.7 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. 4 penalties for 26 yards for Prairie View. Alabama State, 297 total offense, 64 plays, 4.6 yards per play. They fumbled 3 times and lost 2. So you had 3 turnovers in this game. That hurts a lot. 7 penalties for 55 yards for Alabama State. 36-yard punt average for Prairie View on 3 punts. 42-yard average on 2 punts for Alabama State. Time of possession, Prairie View, 27 minutes and 40 seconds. 3 of 10 on third downs. No fourth down conversions. 3 or 4 in the red zone. Alabama State was 0 for 7 on third down. They 0 for 2 on fourth down, so they did not have a conversion. That's tough to win when you can't convert on your third downs, all your fourth downs. They had the ball for 26 minutes and 46 seconds. 2 or 6 in the red zone. 5 sacks for Prairie View, 1 for Alabama State. Individually, Connolly 14 and 19 for Prairie View, 180 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked once. Holden 1 for 1 for 56 yards. Davis 13 of 23 for Alabama State, 173 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Along with 30, he was sacked 4 times. Crawley 1 of 2 for 24 yards. He was sacked once. Wilburn 1 for 1 for 10 yards. Antoine 12 carries for 66 yards for Prairie View, average 5.5 yards per carry. Stewart 10 carries, 29 yards. Connolly 9 carries, 25 yards, 2 touchdowns. Merritt 17 carries, 143 yards, 8.4 yards per carry. Big game for him. Dunn 8 carries, 49 yards. He averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Broomfield led Prairie View with 2 catches for 69 yards. Holden 5 catches, 62 yards. Heron 3 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Johnson led Alabama State with 2 catches for 54 yards. Hickson 3 catches, 34 yards. Chenault 2 catches, 24 yards. Scott 2 catches, 24 yards. Culpepper 1 catch, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Momore led Prairie View with 13 tackles, 8 for Brown, 6 for Johnson. Presley with 5, Shanko with 5, Jones with 5, Ray with 5. Tackles for loss, Shanko 2, Jones 1.5, Carter 1, Evans 1, Johnson 1, Ray 1, Presley and Victorian and Harris each had a half a tackle for loss apiece. Sacks went to Carter, Jones, Johnson, and Ray. Forced fumble was by Ray, recovered by Reese. Interception was by Logan Jackson. Alabama State was led by Bubba Adams with 13 tackles, Bellamy with 7, Young Roll with 6. Adams 1.5 tackle for loss, Bellamy and Ogletree and Cunningham. Nelson, they all had 1 tackle for loss apiece. Half a tackle for loss for Davis. Sack went to Ogletree. Forced fumble was by Bellamy, was recovered by Bellamy. Interception by Jackson. So, like I said, this was a game Alabama State had their chances. Turnovers, turnovers and poor third down conversions will do you in. Prairie View had they didn't play their best game, but at this point when you can win on the road, you take that how you get it. And that gives them a nice SWAC win on the road. That sets up our week 5 schedule as such. Bethune-Cookman is at Alabama State. There's a 2:00 kickoff. The game can be seen on the Bulldog Sports Network. Valley is at Florida A&M. That game can be seen on the Rattler Sports Network. 5:00 kickoff there in Tallahassee. Prairie View is at Grambling. That game is on HBCU Go. 6:00 kickoff. State Fair Classic. So make sure if you can't make it out to Dallas for that game, you can catch it on HBCU Go. That should be an interesting game. Alabama State is at Texas Southern. That game is a 6:00 kickoff. It can be seen on the AT&T Sports Net Southwest. And then Southern is hosting Pine Bluff, 6:00 kickoff. And I can't remember where I saw that game was going to be televised. I want to say ESPN Plus, but I get the information. I put it out there. So that's our week 5 schedule. JSU and Alcorn are both off this week. So 5 SWAC games on the schedule. So we are in the thick of SWAC play. This will be the first weekend of October. There's 4. There's like 5 Saturdays in October. So there's a lot of football in the month of October. So you can't go wrong with that. And like I said, that's gonna do it for our week 4 recap. We'll be back on Wednesday with our Week 5 preview, and then SWAC Smoke will come at you on Thursday, and then Sunday we'll recap our Week 5 action. So with that being said, I'm your tour guide, C. Wells, signing out. Hope you guys have a good Sunday, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a good day. Peace.